Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist in Yankton, South Dakota, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. I want to get some of the housekeeping stuff out of the way before I let my mind wander into whatever conversation is going to come out of my head this week and today. As I'm recording this is the first day of summer, and it feels like my brain has gone on summer vacation a little bit. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening so I don't forget to do that at the end. This coming Sunday will be the last week of our hashtag BUMC series. I know you're not supposed to say hashtag, but I felt like it's an important part of the name, and so I've been saying it. We covered the 3 simple rules. This week we're going to be covering a famous quote by John Wesley that has kind of integrated itself into our tradition. And what that means for us. And I'm really excited. I'm tying in some stuff that we learned at annual conference. Speaking of, if you are tuning in because you were hoping that this was the annual conference recap episode, that will be next week. We've got it scheduled to record, and so next week's What's Going On will probably be a longer episode, but tune in. You're going to hear from not only me, but also our 3 lay people that attended annual conference from our church as well. That would be Craig Sherman, who's also on staff with us, our lay leader Dan Johnson, and Bob Thuy, who also sits on the leadership team. So that should be really good to hear from them. So you're going to get a little sneak peek of some of what we talked about in the sermon, but then also hear more in depth. And then I also included in the July's Remind, our newsletter, our legislative recap of annual conference that I just pulled directly from the conference website. So I wanted you to have access to what are the things that were voted on. That is not all that we do at annual conference, but it is part of what we do, and I think it is a helpful thing to have record of. So look for that in July's Remind. That will be coming out to you shortly. Next week's podcast will be the annual conference recap and sneak peek of some of the topics in this week's sermon. Let's see. What else do we have? We had people go to camp last week. That was awesome. That was a lot of our 2nd and 3rd graders who we paid the full tuition amount for camp this year because we wanted them to go. So I'm so glad so many took us up on that. We still have quite a few people heading to camp this summer, including my family. We're going to be heading there over the 4th of July. So just know that I will be out of the office July 3rd through the 7th because I will be at family camp with my family, and therefore unavailable. And I'm really looking forward to it. As I've already mentioned, my brain wants to be on vacation when it is so nice out. And so that's happening. VBS is not as far away as you think. So if you haven't gotten signed up for that, make sure that you do. If you look on our Facebook page, there's a link to sign up there to register your kiddos, or come and talk to Tiffany. We can get you signed up. That's happening in August. Also, if you are looking at next year and thinking, I really love the kids of our church and I want to make sure that they know God loves them, sign up to help in some capacity. It's not difficult work, but it is probably some of the most important work that we do. And I want to make sure that it's covered appropriately. So please consider that. Also, this Saturday is the first informational meeting for AmeriKids, the summer musical camp that Allison Spock and Sarah Clavon are doing here at the church. Saturday at 10 o'clock, come and check that out. If you're not able to make it on Saturday, but you're still interested in having your kids do it, please just contact Allison and let her know. She'd be happy, I'm sure, to work with you because she wants as many people involved as possible in that. So that's really exciting. To get that going. That's something that launched out of our reverse offering initiative we did on Mother's Day, and I think that's so cool. If you haven't signed, let us know what you did with your reverse offering. Please write on the Blessed to be a Blessing cards that are in the lounge, because we just want to celebrate what God has moved our people to be doing. And so that's really cool. And again, it's not a braggy thing, it's a celebration thing. So looking ahead, we also, don't forget, we do Loads of Love over the summer. We've got our community garden going. I was told this week that they put a fence up for the cucumbers to be growing up because they're really coming along. I don't know that much about gardening. I do know about salsa, and the salsa that they make from the things that they're growing in the garden is really good. And so if you have a chance, check that out. Maybe sign up to be a garden watcher, garden waterer. This summer, watering seems to be a really important factor in keeping our garden alive and growing, as the heat is a lot. Also, I just want to throw out our Wednesday morning prayer group as another opportunity to do something in the life of the church in order to serve and support what we're doing here. Every Wednesday morning at 8:30, there's a small group of us that gather to pray with each other for things happening in the church and the life that we know about. And so if you either have a prayer request or if you would just like to come and join us and kind of add your voice to the prayers, we would love that. I will say something that's been kind of cool, and I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before or not. I feel like I probably have, but I say a lot of things to a lot of people, and I don't always necessarily know who I've told what. So in January, I went to a clergy gathering in Aberdeen. It was primarily to meet the bishop, but it was also for a time for us clergy to gather and have some fellowship time. And one of the things that they did is the first night we were there in a worship service, they had all these candles lit, and they invited us to come down and take a candle, and then we stood around the sanctuary at Aberdeen North Highland, and they sang. I say they sang because at the time I was coming off of having influenza, and I did not have a voice. I sounded, my speaking voice was like an octave lower, and my singing voice was non-existent. So I watched everybody else sing and longed for the day when I could sing again. But after that service, they said, flip your candle over, and on the bottom there is a name of someone else who's in attendance, and we invite you to be praying for them. The name that I got was Tara Bush. You might have noticed in the God Moments, just in the last week or so, that I have a picture with me and Tara from annual conference. This year at our ordination service, Tara was recognized as getting her license for ministry, and she started ministry since about a year ago. It would have been after annual conference last year. And so since January, every Wednesday morning in that prayer group, we've been praying for Tara. We've been lighting her candle, and she is the first of the prayers that we say. And it's been a real joy to be able to pray for her and to pray for her ministry. She's very active in Plankington, but she also serves in Alexandria. And so getting to kind of bless those churches with our prayers as well has been really special. It would have been really special to do it for anybody, but to get to do it for Tara, and one of the people in our small group prayer is Lydia Gaziski, who just so happens to be Tara's mom. It just felt like a God moment, right? Like, of course, that was the name I needed to have. So this week, when our prayer group met, the candle finally went out. And it was kind of a bittersweet moment. I knew the last few weeks I was kind of joking that this candle was never going to go out because it just felt like every week it just kept burning. But this week it finally went out, and we took it to be a sign that Tara has a strong foundation now in her ministry, and in her, she's got her footing under her, and she's poised to do great things, that we can now move on to be praying for other things and other people. So that's kind of a bittersweet thing this week, that we were faithful in what was asked of us. And I really credit that to the prayer group that meets on Wednesday mornings. Let's see, our youth group has been busy meeting. They went swimming, they've gone axe throwing. If you really want to get involved with a group that does super fun things, be a youth group adult. That's the place to be, honestly. Either that, or I would say Bibles and Brews is doing some really great things. They just met here at the church this week, and they're doing a mission project together. It's called Soul Hope Mission, Soul spelled S-O-L-E, because what they were doing was cutting out denim to help create shoes that will be made from the denim and from tires on the bottom, and then sent to places where kids don't really have shoes or have maybe just one pair of shoes. And so they met this week and were cutting out denim. And just, I love how these small groups that have been forming and doing things are now like engaging in mission together. I mean, this is what it means to be the church, right? Like, you connect with each other, and then you go and do, and you share the love, and you share the gospel, and you give of yourself. The denim that they were cutting was denim that they had donated. And so I'm just like super, super excited about the things that are happening, and super excited for the ideas and things that have been coming back to us through the Blessed to be a Blessing. I've got some really cool things that are coming down the pike that people have brought to us. So I'm super excited about that. Also, just really briefly want to kind of put a plug in your ear. We're gonna have some positions open here in the church, and we're looking for the right people to fill those positions. The first is, you might have heard that Sue May, our longtime bell choir director, is moving to Nebraska. I tried to talk her out of it. She just wouldn't have it. They're moving this summer, and so she is resigning as the bell choir director, and so we are in need of someone to take on that really pivotal ministry that we have. Our bell choirs are second to none, and so I just invite you to pray with me for who the right person is and that they will step up. Sue will be happy to help kind of train and mentor, because she will still be in Yankton for the next year, traveling here to teach and fulfilling her commitment at the school district. And so, like, this isn't something that someone's going to have to take on without any support. And obviously our bell choir is phenomenal, and they know what they're doing. So that is a really great opportunity that doesn't come along all that often. And then also we're looking at splitting Julie Moderager, who's been our staff person over parish care and outreach, is taking a step back. She works full-time at Webster School, and if you know anything about the Yankton School District right now, Webster is going to be in some upheaval with the new building that's happening and all of that, and Julie was very mindful and gracious in that she doesn't want to overburden herself right now, and we totally support that and respect that. And some of the feedback and understanding that we got is we really need to separate some of the things that the parish care and outreach team does into multiple teams, because it's just so much. The plate that they managed was not a plate, it was like a serving platter. It was huge. It was a lot, more than what any one person or one small group really should be handling. And so we're going to split that apart and really invite people who have passions for the various aspects of that into some leadership positions. And so one is going to be really focused around our members and the members of the church, the people that are already here, and in particular are people who belong here but can't get here. So those who are in the nursing home, those who are homebound, those who being in a church service for whatever reason has become difficult or impossible. So due to hearing or sight issues, due to some other health issues, they just can't worship with us. We want to make sure that they are cared for. Also, this includes our young adults, college students, military that they are ours, but have gone off to the next stage of their life, and to stay connected with them. So we've got that piece. And also they'll tie in with our parish nurse, Susan Thorson, who also kind of cares for those who are in the hospital, and that kind of thing. And so that's all going to get tied together. So if you really have a heart for kind of, again, our homebound, our really elderly, our young people who maybe don't have the ability to be connected in person, I would really invite you to consider what it would look like for you to be a part of a team that's what you care about, and that's what you dream about, and that's what you do. We're also going to have a team that really focuses in on our mission. So things like our Loads of Love laundry mission, promoting that, getting the volunteers, being involved in the decision making there, getting the banquet and that kind of stuff organized, but also deciding on our Bucket Sunday mission offerings, and any sort of budgeting kind of thing that we have going toward mission. So if you have a heart really for outreach into the community of what are we doing to meet the needs of those here in Yankton, that's the place for you. And we really want to find the right person, especially someone who's organized in particular for that role, and really outgoing to help engage, especially new people into some of these mission opportunities. Because I think what you find is that you go once and you realize it's an incredible opportunity, and you'll keep going. But it's getting over that initial hump usually, because it's scary to do a new thing. And I understand that. And so we'll have the kind of mission outreach side of things. And then the third thing that Julie did is our Kids Hope program, which has been such a blessing. I did that this year, and it is an experience that I will never regret. And I'm looking at my schedule this coming year to see, can I make that work again? Because it was so meaningful for me, even though my kid ages out of the program. Am I ready to take on another kid? So, and that one would be just managing any of the mentors, matching those with kids, and then doing kind of some of the follow-up and mentor support kind of stuff. So Julie really did a lot of amazing and incredible things. No wonder it was a hard thing to juggle with a full-time job. So maybe, but hopefully with splitting these apart, even if you do work another job, these would become more manageable to take on. And again, the expectation is never that the staff person does all of the work. The expectation is that the staff person is the point person. But that they should always have a group of people that are surrounding them and supporting them and doing the work together. And so we are looking at all of us to do this work. We don't hire staff to do the work for us. We hire staff to create the opportunities for us. I want you to think of it in that way. So there's a lot of opportunity coming up. And then I know that you are probably curious about what we're doing with Worship in the Fall. Honestly, so am I at this point. We are in the conversation and dreaming phase. We will still be doing things on Wednesday night as well as Sunday mornings, but we're looking at possibly even going more outside of the box than we have before. I would say, for me, twin visions, twin goals of what we need to focus on as a church in the next couple of years in particular. One is continuing to build our connection and community with one another, because a church is as strong as the people are connected to each other. And that was one of the things that I think COVID revealed in us, is that we were maybe connected to things in the church or programs or somebody that we liked, but we weren't necessarily invested fully in the community with each other. And so we're going to be always looking at ways to continue to build that, especially across generations. And so that's one of the questions we're looking at for Wednesday nights, is how can this become a community building opportunity, that everybody gets something out of it. And then the other side of it that you have heard me tease about a little bit is discipleship. That I really believe that we need to be focused on our discipleship of Jesus Christ and really going deep in our faith. because that is a solid foundation on which we build everything else. And so we're really going to be focusing on spiritual disciplines and small group kind of things, and really encouraging and pushing each other to go deeper, not only in our relationships with each other, but ultimately in our relationship with Jesus Christ. And so those are the things that you're probably going to hear a lot from me, because I really feel strongly that this is the next steps that we need to take in order to be the church that we need to be in the church moving forward. What that does mean is that maybe the way we approach some of that stuff is going to look a little different, but I think at this point, all of you have sort of accepted that we are trying things. We're trying things as the church, that we're in a new era, in a new time, in a new culture, and what has worked in the past doesn't necessarily work now, or at least it doesn't work in the same way. And so we're committed to trying, and we want you to come along with us on that. And so sometimes the things we do might flop, but I'd much rather risk and fail than not risk at all, because not risking at all means we're definitely not going to be growing. We're not going to be reaching new people. If we're at least trying, then we know that we can be reaching new people. And we are, by the way. Remember, so far in 2023, we've had 6 new baptisms. I've got 2 more slated for this summer already. We've had 4 people, adults, join the church. God is good, and God is moving, and things are happening, and it's good, but we have to keep at it. We have to keep working at it, and we have to keep trying to be the church, and keep asking the hard questions, and keep challenging ourselves, and keep reaching out, and keep connecting with each other and with new people, for this all to work and to continue and to be something that is valuable in all of our lives. So those are kind of the big things that are on my heart and on my mind. I guess I didn't go too crazy today. My mind is working maybe better than I thought it was. Or Tiffany has just done a really good job of editing me together so that any trips down the rabbit hole maybe didn't go so far. I say that I teach Tuesday lunch studies, and we're going through the books of the Bible. We're doing the prophets this summer, so this will be our 3rd summer. There's 4 books in this series. When you finish the 4th book, you have read the entire Bible. We started with the New Testament, and then last summer, that was 2 summers ago when we did that New Testament challenge. Last summer, my lunch study went through the covenant, which was like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. I mean, it was a lot for the summer, and this summer we're doing the prophets. And this week for the class, it's an open conversation on what we talk about and what comes up in the reading and what we notice and patterns and things. But also there are times where it's just, and I do the same thing where I'm like, hey, I didn't know what this word was, and I needed to look it up, and did anyone else know what this word was? And then I have my computer attached to a TV, and so we're like Googling it together. And the one from this week was, it was a tree that I didn't know the name of and had never heard about before. And so then we were looking at like, oh, look at this tree. Oh, it has berries. Oh, look at, some days I am just like a squirrel. But that's okay. And I hope you know that, so that you don't feel intimidated to come to things, because really we love having you. So if you want to come do this with us, even though we've started, you're welcome to come jump in with us. We'd love to have you. We're in the middle of Isaiah right now. The other one that I really love, partially because I never know what's going to happen, is our XYZ fellowship that happens every second Tuesday. XYZ is our Extra Years of Zest fellowship time. It's 10 o'clock on the second Wednesday of the month, and there is no agenda. There is no plan. We show up. I think Carol's been making coffee. Dee often brings really delicious cookies, and we just start chatting. And this last time, Susan Thorson, our parish nurse, sat in for about half of it, and she just started chuckling toward the end of the hour, and she's like, I don't even think I could summarize where this conversation has gone, because it's gone from here to here to here to here to here. And I'm like, that's what it does. But I learned something every month. There's things that I learned that I had never known before, would never have thought about before. The one that really sticks out to me was the month that I learned that shoes used to be made not like a left shoe and a right shoe, but it's just one pattern for both feet. And it wasn't until about, I don't know, like 100, 150 years ago that they started making left shoes and right shoes. Could you imagine how uncomfortable shoes were before that? How did we get on that? Have no idea, but we did. We've talked about, rendering lard, I think, came up more than 1 month. Sometimes it's reminiscing, sometimes it's just what's going on in the news or what's going on in someone's life. And I treasure it. I treasure that time. And so if you've been kind of anxious about coming because you think, well, I don't know, if the pastor's there, we're probably just going to talk about sin and theology and it's going to be over my head. No, that's not how that one works. We'll talk about it if that's what you want to talk about. But that conversation is as open as can be. And I just enjoy getting to sit down and visit and listen and learn. And so I hope you're taking advantage of the opportunities that we have here to connect with one another, because it's been my greatest joy. I was kind of robbed that at the beginning of my time in ministry with you, but I feel like I'm getting to make up for it now. And turns out all of you are delightful. So that's good. And I can't wait. I can't wait to know you more. I can't wait for you guys to know each other more. And with that, I'm going to say, hope to see you in worship soon. And God bless. Thank you for listening to this episode of What's Going On. We'd love to have you join us for worship here at the church on Sundays at 10 a.m. You can also find us online via our website at firstumcyankton.org or search for us on YouTube.